Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 309 of Martha Runs the World. This week, I'm going to do my annual looking back at the year. I try to take one episode to talk about the year in running, what happened, go over all the breakthroughs and the records and things about what happened, not necessarily the records, but what significant happened in the running year. And I'll also talk about some personal things in my life because a few things happened this year, good and bad. I'll talk about that after I go over the general stuff. And it's just cold and raining in San Francisco today. And if there's a little extra noise outside, it's because for some reason, even though it's been raining a lot over the last couple years, San Franciscans still freak out over the rain when they drive. So yeah, sorry, there's a lot of traffic out there. I apologize if there's extra background noise. All right, there were some records set this year in running. So we'll start with some of those. Emmanuel Wanioni, and I'm not sure if I pronounced his name right, but he set the men's road 1 mile world record with a time of 3 minutes, 54.5 seconds. And that was in Germany. That is incredibly fast. They're just getting faster and faster. Josh Kerr broke the world record in the men's 2 mile in 2024 at the Millrose Games in New York City with a time of 8 minutes, 0.67 seconds. Elle St. Pierre broke her own American record in the women's Wanamaker Mile at the same Millrose Games in New York City of a time of 4 minutes, 16.41 seconds. And Paris Jep Shirshir set the fastest marathon for a female with a time of 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 16 seconds at this year's London Marathon. One of the big mile markers this year, well, I mean, not mile, but one of the big markers in running this year is that for the first time ever in Barkley Marathon history, a female finished the entire thing. Yes. Jasmine Paris of Great Britain finished Barkley Marathons. So hopefully there'll be more in the future, but she said it for the first time this year, and that is huge in running. The Paris Olympics happened this summer, and I think the running was spectacular. I loved it. Tried to watch every event that I could. I hope you watched it. If you did watch it, what was your favorite event in running? I'm not going to go over all the events. I did that already in an episode. You can check out my episode about the Paris Olympics if you want. I will provide a link for you. I only want to point out that the Paris Olympics had one of the most difficult marathons in Olympic history. There were huge hills in that course, just massive. It was like the San Francisco Marathon all over again. It was crazy difficult. Now, this year in the London Marathon, London is known for having a lot of Guinness World Record holders. A lot of people dress in costume to try to get Guinness Book of World Records. And they do wild things, or as they say, in fancy dress. Yes, they don't call them costumes. Or I guess we don't call them costumes anymore. We call it cosplay. I don't know. I like costume. But a lot of people like to try to get Guinness Book of World Records in London. And these are some of the things that happened this year. Now, there were 44 official records broken with 74 listed attempts. That's a lot. That's a ton. And these are just a few. All right. Simone Carniglia, fastest marathon by a type 1 diabetic. That's pretty cool. That's 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 33 seconds. That's awesome. Stephen Cochran, fastest marathon dressed as a scientist. 2 hours, 48 minutes, 51 seconds. Simon Killen, Fastest marathon dressed as a video game character. They don't say which one he was doing. Sam Hull, fastest marathon dressed as a tennis player. Warren Parrish, fastest marathon dressed as a cheerleader, male. Holly Brownlee, fastest marathon dressed in pajamas. Oh my God. Wouldn't those chafe really bad? Jonathan Astley, fastest marathon with multiple sclerosis. And he did that in 3 hours, 7 minutes, and 34 seconds. Bravo to you, Jonathan. Well done. Marcus Mumford, fastest marathon dressed as a tap faucet. That's crazy. I love it. In this year's Western States, Jim Walmsley won the men's for the 4th time, and Katie Scheid won the women's. And I saw an article about celebrities who ran this year's New York Marathon and thought it would be fun to post their names. But all of the people who were quote unquote celebrities were social media influencers. And I never heard of any of them. So I thought those really aren't celebrities. Those are like class Z celebrities. Those are people that I don't care about. Those are people that I'm sure you don't care about. So I'm not even going to mention their names because who are these people? Do we care? No. If it was an actor or a musician or somebody or an athlete or somebody really interesting, I would put their names down, but there was nobody. So don't worry about it. Or as they say in New York, don't worry about it. And just to let you know, as you do know, that Martha Runs the World is not about the fastest runners. I don't just have elite runners on here. I don't talk about elite runners. I don't talk about how to be the fastest runner, how to make your times faster, how to do all that stuff. There are plenty of running podcasts that are awesome who do that already. There are lots and lots of them. They rock. I listen to some of them. They do great work. But that's not what this show is about. I do talk about them because it is part of the news, and I think it's interesting to hear about them, especially when records are broken. I think that's really, really fun to hear about. I just don't want you to get the idea that I'm changing the format of the show to covering only elites and only the fast runners, because I'm not, because I certainly am not fast. I don't think I ever will be fast. I just am out there doing my thing at the back of the pack. I was listening to a podcast, and it's a great podcast. I'm not going to say the name, but it's a very good podcast. I like it a lot. It was talking about how to pull oneself together during a race if things start to fall apart. And I started to think about it. And they said, the host of the podcast said, in a race, you're either the chaser or you're being chased. Well, that's true, kind of, but not in the way he thinks. For us, in the back of the pack, we're chasing cutoffs. And he certainly didn't mention that. He certainly didn't bring that up at all. We are constantly chasing cutoffs. That's really the only chasing we're doing. We're not chasing another runner. We don't care if we beat another runner. I don't care if I beat another runner. I care if I beat the cutoff time. And that's something that this host probably has never experienced. He probably has no conception of what that's like. I can imagine that the elite runners would have absolutely no idea what that's like. They have no idea what it's like to go to an aid station and have it not be there. Even though you're still within the time of the race, they would just be aghast, be horrified if they go to an aid station and it's not there. Where'd you go? Well, we pulled up because we thought everyone was done. They would not have a clue what to do if the aid station was gone. Well, we deal with that kind of stuff, don't we? We back in the packers understand what it's like to be at the back of the race and really need an aid station, really need somewhere to sit for a few minutes, really need some positive energy from aid station workers and not have it there. We know what that's like. We know we're well within the time limit. We have lots of time, but the support is not there. So it's like the race doesn't really care about us. That's the feeling I get. But these guys don't know what that's like. And I want to be there for you to let you know that I know what it's like and I'm here with you. We're all fighting this race together. Slowly, true. We're all doing it on our own time. And even if you don't race, it's still the show for you because I'm probably not going to be racing much in the future. And I'll talk about that in next week when I talk about what 2025 and forward looks like for me. Yeah, there are lots and lots of podcasts that do talk about elites and only have elites on there. And then that's fine. That's great. They do it well, but that is not what this show is about. I just want you to know that there's a problem with most races, and there's a problem with most podcasts, and there's a problem with most running shows in that they kind of forget us in the back. We're the ones who pay most of the entry fees. Yeah, maybe not in San Francisco because there's so many fast runners, and maybe not the races I'm doing because they all take off and I'm in the back. But I'm still here. I'm still a part of the running community. I've always kind of been forgotten about. I remember I joined a running group that used to go out. They was started. They used to do, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do runs every Tuesday night. And this is pre-COVID. This must have been 10 years ago, maybe. One of the runners said, "Oh yeah, I'm slow. I only do 9-minute miles." And it's like, that's not slow to me. That's really fast. That's really super fast. If I was doing 9-minute miles, I would be very, very happy. At the time I was doing 11-minute miles, so I was faster than I am now. But it was like, if I pushed myself, I'd probably more like 12. But I really only do 11, 12, 13-minute miles, so I am slow. So I looked at it going, that is not slow. That is super fast. And they all took off. Boom. They all went off on their own, and I was left behind. Now, the first week, the leader of the group, the guy who started it, stayed with me. But then the other 2 times that I did it, he went off and did his own thing, and I was left by myself. So then I stopped doing it because I said, forget this. I'm not going to go out and do this if I'm all by myself and forgotten about. And by the time I got to the end, of course, those 2 weeks, everyone pretty well was gone, but maybe 2 or 3 people. And I just said, this is not a supportive group. This is not the kind of group that I want to be in. So I stopped and I went home and I never went back. That's what that is. So you have to really figure out if it's a running group, if you want to be part of something, they really have to embrace all paces. And when they say we support all paces, they really have to mean it, not just the through 9-minute miles. No, they have to support all it. If you want to walk and be a part of it and they say walkers are welcome, then they darn well better support walkers. I mean it. You can't say you support it and then don't support it. Come on. There's such hypocrisy sometimes. Even in trail running, even in ultra running, if you're not going to support it, then don't have it available. That's a big deal to me. And that came up a couple times this year for me. So that in a couple races. All right. So now let me see. So back to this year. Sorry, I went on a little tangent. I apologize. Trends in running and running style and shoes and stuff that continued in 2024. Shoe height continued to get higher, and those giant soles continued to look weirder. Now, I don't know. I'm not really into the huge giant soles, but some of you may have. I don't mind medium. I like some cushion. Okay, maybe the shoes that I have, you think the soles are huge, but they aren't to me. They're just perfect for me. More running shoe brands are designing running clothing as lifestyle gear, and that's kind of cool. I like that. I like wearing running clothes as lifestyle gear. I like the fact that Ultra now is putting out some clothing that looks pretty cool just to wear casually. I think that's a good trend. Running clubs did grow 59% in 2024, and just as I said, if you want to support everyone, if you say you support everyone, then support everyone. Don't support just the fast runners and the mid-paced runners. Support everyone. Now, I do see a lot of running groups out there, but they seem to be all fast in San Francisco. So maybe that's just how it is here. Maybe other places they are much more supportive. I wouldn't know. Now, race numbers are finally back to pre-COVID days. So that is an awesome thing. That is really, really good to see. And that's wonderful because I know so many race companies just suffered brutally because of COVID. Now, people are focusing more on improving their overall health, with 19% wanting to focus on stretching and mobility, 14% wanting to improve their diet, and 14% wanting to master their sleep routine. So these are nice numbers. These are, I think, will get better as time goes on. Now, Strava findings in 2024. Just over half of the people surveyed, 57%, said that their ideal daily workout time was between 45 minutes and an hour, with a median duration of a Strava activity in 2024 sitting at just 53 minutes. And while it might not seem as though everyone everywhere is completing multiple long runs in a week, only 16% of people said that they'd choose to exercise for 60 minutes or more in a single day. So maybe people aren't going for those real long runs like we are. Maybe they like the shorter ones. Maybe they're more casual runners, but that's everyone included. The ultra runners, the long endurance runners are always going to be a smaller percentage. They're not going to be the normal average of people anyway. Those are the people, the regular runners are the people out there who don't hold anything, who don't take anything with them. They're going around the block. They're sprinting around the block, taking giant steps. That's who they are. They're the ones jumping up and down at the red light. I swear they are. So that's not everyone. So that's what that is. I am going to do an episode in the future on the long run and ways you can make it better for yourself and how to get the most out of your long run. Now, by contrast, most people completed shorter workouts lasting 20 minutes or less, and they were still diligently logging them all on Strava, or else it didn't happen, obviously. In fact, 1/5 of all uploaded activities in 2024 were sub-20-minute micro movements, with the most popular equating to 43% of all those recorded being the stair stepper. Oh, I hate that stair stepper. I absolutely hate that thing at the gym. That's the scariest machine I've ever seen and I've ever been on. I think I tried it twice and then I gave up because it was just too scary. It's scary. It really is. Strava found that 72% of running goals were met in 2024. Plus, there was a 9% increase in the number of marathons and ultramarathons. And I think that's going to keep going up, which is great. And not so great. It's great that we have more runners doing it. Not so great we're trying to get into races. Social media is even more important, and tagging along with that is AI. Ooh, boo. Stepped into the running world over the last couple of years, and I'm going to do a whole episode on AI and what it means, the good and bad. And I used to think those runners who paid more attention to selfies than their runs were posers, but now we all do it, so it's not a big deal. It's now all a part of running. Now, there are those runners who constantly record videos on TikTok and Instagram, and I think there's an overabundance of those, and I think they need to just chill a little bit, because if you post too much, I'm not going to watch them. If you just go way overboard on it, it's just like I'm going to pass over them because you've done enough, and I'm tired of seeing it. But that could be me. It could be a personal thing. I don't know how you feel. Maybe too much of a good thing is what it is, or maybe it's just me being cranky. Now, Global Running Day is June 4th, and it gets bigger and bigger, and last year was the biggest on record. More than 2.5 million runners from 177 countries pledged to run 9.2 million miles. Now, I must admit I never paid much attention to it. Okay, of course. There's a hospital like a half mile up the hill, and there's a fire station 3 blocks away, and every time I record, something goes past my house. It's true. But okay, like I was saying, I must admit that I never paid much attention to Global Running Day because it's just something on a calendar, and just because the calendar tells you this is a day to run, that you should run, is not something that's going to inspire me to run. It's just like Valentine's Day. This is the day you tell your loved one that you love them. You should tell them you love them every day. You don't need a calendar day to tell you that, right? Or do you? So that's why I never really paid much attention to it. So I think I'm probably going to try to run on it next year just for the heck of it, just to see if, I don't know, I feel better about things, or if, I don't know, maybe the magic running genies are going to come out and celebrate and shower me with confetti and balloons. I don't know. I'll try it though and see what the big deal is. But it seems like there's a lot of runners that do take place. So if you did, and tell me what you did last year or this year. It's not last year yet. Tell me what you did this year. That would be kind of cool. And now, my personal look back at 2024. If you've been following my journey, you know that my 2024 started out pretty crappy. It was horrible. I had my accident on December 16th. I fell on a trail I had been in so many times, dozens and dozens of times. A place where I usually walk, I decided to run on it because why not? And I tripped on a rock and I smashed my shoulder. My arm dug into my shoulder and just destroyed everything. I had to get surgery. That was on the 16th, which is Saturday. I had surgery the following Wednesday. And this is on the 20th, I had surgery of December. So 5 days before Christmas, I had surgery. So it was a fun Christmas for me. No, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all. It was painful. And I'll tell you, it was probably the most painful thing I've ever lived through. Not probably. It was the most painful thing. It was horrible. And I took 2 weeks off work. I probably could have taken 2 more weeks off work, but I really can't afford it. That would have led to temporary disability, and I couldn't afford that. It took months of physical therapy. I have about 85% of my use of my arm and shoulder back, and that's the best I can do, and I think it's pretty good, so I'm happy with that. I had planned on doing my first 50-mile race in that February of this year, but that didn't happen. But I still drove down to Boulder City in Nevada to work at the race that I had planned to run. And that was a really, really fun time, and I did talk all about that. I do plan on going back down this year and run the 33-mile distance. There's no way I'm going to do a 50-mile. I'm just not prepared for that. But I'm going to do that, and I will talk about that more next week. I started to get decent walks in. I got my sling off finally, and was able to get some movement going. And then I started doing decent walks in March. And I started my running in June. And then I did the San Francisco one-day race in June. I walked it. I did not run, but I walked it. I believe I walked a half. I got 13.1 miles and a little bit more, I think. So I did do a half marathon that day. I walked it. So that was pretty cool. It was important that I went that far. And then in October, I did the Ruth Anderson 50K. And that was huge for me to do a 50K to finish that. And then in the last month, I did the 30-mile distance of the San Francisco Turkey Trot. And then I did my did not finish race a couple weeks ago now at the Hunter S. Thompson 50K. And I talked all about that also last week. My fall was the most painful thing I've ever experienced, as I said. And last week, however, I had my final appointment, my annual appointment, my 1-year appointment with my orthopedist, and he said everything looked great. He said I was stronger than he thought. He was surprised how strong I was, and he said everything is going great, and just keep working on it. But I know there are limits. I know I'm probably not going to be more flexible than I am right now. But so physically, I'm doing great, but psychologically, emotionally, I still have work to do. I had planned on going up to the Headlands to go on the same trail that I fell on the 16th this weekend, but that would have been on the 15th, which is the day before my accident. I had planned on going that same trail to hike on, and I will never run on that section where I fell. Never again. I will always hike on it. But it kind of freaked me out doing it again so soon to my fall. So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. So I stayed in San Francisco and went in the Presidio, and I went to Presidio, Land's End, and Golden Gate Park. So I got a really nice long run in it. And it was kind of cool because we've had the storm come through Saturday, the day before, and a tornado hit in Golden Gate Park. Who knew a tornado could hit in San Francisco? I don't remember there ever being a tornado in the city before. And I actually got to check out some of the damage. It was so many trees uprooted in the park. And I went through some of the trails and had to climb over some of the trunks of these huge trees and stuff like that, which is kind of cool because you never see that. I mean, you just never experience that in San Francisco at all. But I think once I get past today, I think it's going to be okay. And then in a couple of weeks, I'll go back up there and get a long run in and take my poles and everything. And I should be all right, or better anyway. I'm not going to be 100% emotionally back, but I'm going to be much better than I am mentally, emotionally, physically, and everything. Just I'll be ready to conquer that and to work towards a new me, or better me, I should say, not a new, but a better me. So that was a big thing for me this weekend to understand and know why I feel that way. And it's okay to feel that way. If you're getting past a big trauma, it's all right to feel scared. It's all right to have those feelings. You can't help but have those feelings. We're human. We have emotions. We have feelings, and it's all right to feel them. It is okay. Now, like I said, I will talk about my plans for next year. I will get back more into that next week. And now, Song of the Week. Now, I'm going to say Songs of the Week because I have 3 Christmas songs that I really like. And none of them are the traditional stuff because I'm not really into traditional Christmas music, but I like 3 rock Christmas songs. These are my favorite Christmas songs. The first one is The Kinks' Father Christmas. This is just a terrific song, and it's about poor kids, about what they really want at Christmas time, and about poor families and what should be focused on at Christmas rather than the material stuff. And the second one is the Ramones' Merry Christmas, which is a Ramones song, and it's Christmas, and it's about how we should all get along together. And the third one is my very, very, very favorite Christmas song, The Pogues' Fairy Tale of New York. And it's a sad song, but it's a really, really good emotional song about real trouble in relationships. And unfortunately, when it comes to alcohol and fighting and Christmas and what's really important. But they're really cool songs. And I would say, I don't know if you want to listen to Fairy Tale of New York when you're running, but listen to the first 2 when you're out on a run, and listen to the last one when you're home, getting all warm and having some hot chocolate. All right. So that is it for this week, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we are all getting ready for Christmas. And I hope you and your family and your friends and all your running friends are getting ready. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And next week, I will talk about what I am looking forward to in 2025. So that is it. So on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.